opportunities arise. For example, State of Origin opportunity rose in 98, but I knew it was a great opportunity, so I actually put the money in myself personally. I sold my house to do that, and I had to sell an asset. I had to make a sacrifice, had to take a big risk. I was married, had kids.
I looked at your background, Mark, and the thing that I'm really interested in, so back when you were first starting up Wizard, right? So I'll take you way back here.
40 years of age.
Yep. So when you were first setting it up, the numbers, they said you started in about 1996.
Yep.
And then in 1999, Kerry Packer got involved as a mentor and investor and so on. So in order for Kerry Packer to get involved, you obviously did a lot of things right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, before he got involved and while you were setting everything up and building it, were there any mistakes you made or what were your biggest learnings? Because we're still in our first few years. So I'm interested to hear about your first few years and what you took away from that.
Well, in terms of mistakes, it was all about how much money it was going to cost to keep the doors open. So we never really knew. But we thought we kept building models, but the models kept failing. And to some extent, you can't when you're just setting up. Opportunities arise. For example, State of Origin opportunity rose in 98. That was going to cost us $250,000. That was never in our budgeting, but I knew it was a great opportunity, so I actually put the money in myself personally. I sold my house to do that, so that was a big deal. And so I guess probably the biggest issue during that period pre-Kerry was having enough patient capital to do the things that arose outside of your own budgeting process. And patient capital, I think, is really important. Whether it's friends, family, yourself, selling something yourself, you just got to have that patient capital. Because if you stick to your budget, that's great, but you're going to miss out on opportunities. A bit like when you had the opportunity with David Paradis, which didn't cost you money, but you had to get off your ass and do it. That was a great opportunity. For me, in the Wizard days, the great opportunity was when the Super League war was on and Tui's pulled out of a sponsorship, and a friend of mine who was at the NRL, wasn't called the NRL in those days, but was at the Australian Rugby League, said to me, look, we don't have a sponsor going to State of Origin, would you like to get on the front of the jersey? But it's going to cost you $250,000, which is pretty cheap. It used to cost $1 million a year prior to that, before the Super League war. So I saw an opportunity, it's cheap. I didn't think about it too much. I said yes. So I employed all the sorts of things that you did, but I was lucky enough that I had the ability to go outside of my budget environment. So I had some capital because I had to sell an asset. I had to make a sacrifice, had to take a big risk. I was married, had kids, so I had to put everyone into rental premises. But I also understood well enough my margins, my market share, my potential for market share. I understood how to get my pricing out there into the market and get below everybody. And actually, the State of Origin was a good opportunity for me to push my brand. So that was probably the biggest the biggest challenges for me at the time was capital. The biggest advantages I got was having someone who told me about something that existed at the time and me then being able to take a risk to do it. And I'll be honest with you, being on the State of Origin jersey is what got Kerry's attention. So, because he's a mad rugby league follower.
Yeah.
So all those things sort of worked in my favour, but they wouldn't have worked if I'd have said, oh, shit, I can't afford to do that. I don't want to sell the house because I'm worried about where my family's going to live. I just said I'm all in or I'm out altogether. So, yeah, I guess I was a bit of a punter, a gambler in that respect, but I backed myself, but like you did. You backed yourself, like when you said you get up on the blocks, you back yourself to win the event. I'm a bit that way myself. I mean, it doesn't matter if I know someone's better than me or they have a better reputation than me in something, whatever it is. Generally speaking, I'll back myself to win. And I was talking about someone the other day, I also have a view, like, let's say you're a swimmer and you're trying to get to Olympics, or you're a boxer and you're trying to win. I take the view is it's not about winning or losing. I say when you get on those blocks, you're there to do your business. Your business is to swim that race as hard as you can. Doesn't matter whether you win or lose. You want to win, but it doesn't matter. It's about swimming your race as hard as you can. When you jump in the ring to fight, that's your business. Today, it's your business. You're in the business of that. And I used to think about my business. It doesn't matter to sell my house. I'm in the business of giving people home loans, and I'm in the business of making everyone aware of my great interest rate. And like you're in the business of making sure everybody's aware that there's this great asset class that you've created in a fund that they can now invest in. And you've got to take risks around that. and you got to back yourself into the business. And I say to everybody, like, stop fucking thinking about it. Stop overthinking it. Stop overanalyze. You can overanalyze this shit.
Yeah.
And then never do anything. It doesn't mean you're not conservative. It just means you never do anything. So I think that's probably the thing in that, probably more so 97, 98, particularly 98, and Kerry came in 99, but 98, that was a big decision for me. And the second big decision for me was, and this sounds a bit ridiculous, but I was lucky. See, Commonwealth Bank was owned by the government just prior to 98. And the Commonwealth government decided to make it a listed entity, and they listed half, then they listed 100%. And when they did that, Commonwealth Bank thought they had to do something in February 1999. They came out with an interest rate which was 5.99, or was it 6.99? I can't remember, but it was one of those two in February 1999, the year that Kerry invested in me. But at this stage, he hasn't invested in me. I was doing State of Origin as well. And what I did, I thought I'll be a smart ass. I came out with a rate of 1 basis point lower, because they dominated the headlines everywhere. And everyone couldn't believe that the Commonwealth Bank had come out with this great rate. They did it because they just listed, so they had to do something. You know how this works. You just listed, you have to do something interesting. So they came up with this great interest rate. It was a fantastic interest rate. What I did is I came out with the same interest rate, one basis point lower. So I basically leveraged off their leverage.
Yeah.
And because I was leveraging off the biggest bank in the country, everyone picked it up. And the headline was "Wizard leads with magic rate." Fin Review, front page. Like I'm not a marketing guy. I didn't know that, but I just knew that I would just stick it up them. And what was I going to lose? 1 basis point, and my cost of business was much cheaper than theirs anyway, so I still made good margin. And then all of a sudden I started to realise, shit, if I can just keep my rate under the banks, and whatever they do, I just come under them every time. And whatever they did, it's like going to an auction, someone bids 1,000, you can bid 1,001. So that's sort of what I was doing. I was playing this game. And I think that, along with my sponsorship of New South Wales side, and by the way, in those days we used to win the Origin series. I
remember.
That got Kerry's attention. And there you go. And I think they were some of the most exciting things I ever did. I to a large extent, I didn't know what I was doing, but it was unreal. It was fun.